Have you ever looked at something and knew immediately that it was made for you and you were made for it, even? That's how I felt when I first laid eyes on the chainsword itself, but then my brain got to noodling around, and eventually it led to why not pair it with the Melta rifle, of course, right? Now, these two, it's like as good as peanut butter and jelly to a lot of people, okay? I'd say it's even better. It is the combination. It's so addictive that I cannot drop it. I cannot stop using it. It gets to this point where, like, I will die with a Melta in my hand. Not because it's not good, but because you are not gonna make me drop this thing. If this game had the actual weapon chains for us Black Templars, I would be using them on it because I would never drop this thing. Nobody can make me do it. This thing is the end-all be-all weapon. Pairing it with the chainsword is a match made in heaven at that. They just go too well together. And it's like, if you don't want to play a melee class because you don't, like just having the one pistol and the melee, you want to actually have a decent weapon too on top of it. This is the melee build that you end up using if you're not doing tactical, you're on Vanguard with the Melta, just frying things because who doesn't think a shotgun and a chainsword go well together? You know what I mean? Like, they just put in the work. They have the ability to completely turn the tides of a battle for you if it's going sour. The ability to instantly hit for such hard amount of damage on not just the Majoris enemies, but even the way bigger guys, and clearing out the like massive amounts of small crowds, the fodder with this thing. It's just unreal. An actual like dopamine addiction, I would say. Now, this is really just a setup for the close range encounters kind of enthusiasts. Like, my playstyle in most games has just been get up in there and see what happens a lot of the time. And let me tell you something. You give me a shotgun that's also a flamethrower, and you're gonna see some results, I guess. But it's one of those things that you just instantly notice when you have that kind of playstyle. You're like, oh, I can do a lot of cool things with this. People that like range will notice stuff for snipers. Close range guys find the melees, the shotguns, the SMGs. It's just the nature of things, people. Why this works so well together is you have two very heavy hitting weapons just in tandem, back and forth, one after the other. You always want to Melta into melee, into Melta shot again, it feels like, to just absolutely decimate whatever was in front of you. And if it does live, you can just start doing the combos for the chainsword. I personally prefer to kick everything because that's funny, but the shoulder bash also helps cover the distance if they were to back up a little bit from you. And what else? The stomp, I guess, is good when you're surrounded, but don't rely on it. Personally, is one thing I would tell you. I just don't find it to be as good as the other two combos. You can really scrape out a lot of damage with the Vanguard's grapple hook, but if you use tactical, the scan can pretty much do the same thing, just to more enemies than that. The beautiful part of this build is, well, it's not even just this build, but the fact that the Melta itself, it wasn't being used a whole lot when I first started this, but I'm starting to see it day by day, more and more Melta users on the horizon. The little cult is growing, it feels like, because this thing, Melta is love, man, and Melta is life. I will say it firsthand. As far as the build and whatnot goes, perks and all that, it's all the same as my combat knife video, so just watch that if you want a full breakdown of it. But The only thing I really swapped was the melee weapon to the chainsword, you know. This is the main setup I'm running, and that's why the perks kind of look a little similar, other than, you know, like one or two maybe tops by that point. I'm pretty sure they're actually all the same, so don't even worry about it. It really was to showcase the Melta itself, its potential. I mean, people that use it know, but people that don't use it or are not on a class that can have it, just understand that if you see a guy with a Melta, he probably knows what's going on, or he's trying to learn what's going on, if you know what I'm saying. Because this thing, it is the answer, okay? If you have a problem in this game, it's it, okay? Maybe other than something that's super far away, obviously, because of the shotgun, but let's be honest, how many things are actually super far away from you that you can't just get to, either grappling, hit him with a pistol, teammate snipes him with something, like, for the most part, the Melta will cover all engagement ranges for us, and with the fencing upgrades, the actual damage, all that, this thing becomes a force to be reckoned with. And it really shines ever so much further when paired with the Melta, in my opinion. It's just too good. I cannot drop it because it just clears house so well. I recommend people just trying it, even if you don't think it would be that good. I mean, I couldn't see how. I mean, this is video evidence of the Melta being like the sexiest weapon in any game ever made, in my opinion. It's just wow. I could gush about this thing all the time, but seriously, get out there and use this thing and see how well you can survive, because it hits hard enough to get your health up all the way if you've only taken a little bit of damage. It helps you with crowd control, heavy enemies, all that jazz. And you can also get a bunch of damage with it at the end of the day.